everyone, and welcome to Lying Around Connecticut with Carol and Harry. I am Carol Kearns. My husband, Harry Shue, is our co-host. Our mission for the show is twofold: to provide information about Connecticut Lions events and to showcase the many different organizations and causes that Lions support locally, regionally, and internationally. Harry?
Good evening and welcome. Please consult our website at www.lions23b.org or your district spirit for more information on coming events.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lying Around Connecticut with Carol and Harry. Today we are at CRIS Radio.
We are back for part 2 of the CRIS Radio presentation. CRIS Radio, of course, is the Connecticut Radio Information System, which is designed for people with sight disabilities.
Right.
And once again, we encourage all of our clubs to contribute to such a wonderful cause. Right, Carol?
Absolutely.
On with the show.
En avant.
The cool thing about this is 20, so right now I have almost 20 other exhibits in the pipeline because of this, hopefully the GPS. Historic Deerfield has contacted me. We're meeting in September. We expect that this will be, this new app will be ready in October, early October. So our goal is that we will use both QR codes for inside and we will use the GPS for outside.
Diana, I think that's a great way to get local Lions clubs involved. I mean, there's so many little museums around the state, and like Bristol and Windsor and the Greater Hartford host Lions Club. You know, you approach them, and you have people in the club who have the contacts with the museum people. All of a sudden, it all comes together.
Exactly. And what we're doing, too, is with this program, we're going to offer a complimentary welcome sign. And that welcome sign with that QR code is going to provide a automatic download to the CRIS Access app. So it'll take them right to the app. All they have to do is say, yes, I want the app. And we'll also provide a description of that museum, like you're now at the New England Carousel Museum. We have 850 horses on display, etc., whatever. So we're going to be doing that as well as we keep moving into this project. But talking about, Lisette, you're not in this picture, are you?
No, because I'm not a member of the Bristol Club.
You're the Torrington Lions, right?
No,
Terryville.
Terryville. Okay.
I think I took the picture, but
You might have taken that picture. That's right. So this is just to show you, this is at the Mystic Aquarium. We're doing a really cool project on October 18th. We're going to be celebrating Blind Americans Equality Day, or Week, and we are continuing to work with the Mystic Aquarium to provide more access. They have a tactile opportunities, touch and feel exhibit, and we're providing the audio. And we're going to invite a number of officials to help celebrate, you know, increasing access at these museums. This is also a lion, Bill
Gahan.
Hey, you guys.
He's a playable lion.
That's right. And Ev was actually, he's in this picture. And so this was at the New England Carousel Museum when we celebrated that exhibit. And this is at, we can all know what that is. That's at Mark Twain House. So we're pretty excited that we've been able to do as much as we have. And we are also at the New Britain Museum of American Art. It's been really exciting to be able to do this. And again, smartphones, affordable. Now we've been recognized by the Hearts Foundation with that match. So we just think that this is going to really continue to grow. This is about that hospital streaming, and I've already talked about that, I guess. Let's see, CRIS Kids for Schools. When we started too, we also included, and at the time, and it's still part of the curriculum, it's called the Common Core State Standards, and they're exemplars that all the states decided that every kid should have access to, let's say, the Gettysburg Address, for example. So we have done all of that as well. I have a video. Now, this is the tricky part. Let me see if I can get this to play. Okay. Click here for video. There we go. Let's see if you can.
Students with learning or other disabilities and those who struggle with reading.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Print materials that their invest in any book, and I think I downloaded on your MP3 player.
Find out more about this extraordinary reading program for young students.
Actually, Comcast created that PSA, and they ran it on all of their cable channels for us.
So those kids are not necessarily blind,
No, they have dyslexia,
there's other problems.
But they
Learn-
they could just have learning disability.
Or
or learning disability, or they're considered non-readers, and sometimes they have an undiagnosed disability, but they just can't decode or comprehend
Yeah.
with what their other kids are doing. So, and I already mentioned this about this year we're going to be back in at a number of schools. We're going to be at Camp Current next year. We're at Educational Resources for Children, Kennelly School. We're going to be at their Montessori School in the fall. A number of schools throughout the state are using this, and it's been very successful with the teachers. And they're very creative. The teachers create packets with 4 books, and then they download just those 4 books on the MP3 player. It's been very successful with.
I think you have to mention that we had a learning curve this year. Who we had to get approval from.
Oh, yes. You mean sometimes we go to the Board of Education?
The teachers don't make this decision. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
So we have to get to the school administration or the district administration to buy into this,
Yeah.
so that they'll create a budget line item, basically.
Right, and so this actually, our original intent was that this would be a fee for service. However, a lot of the schools got cut during the last administration, so even the modest $500 a year was something that was beyond. So what we've done is we've gone out and there have been a number of funders who really do want to support this program. So that's how we've supported this program.
Have you marketed this to, for example, the special ed supervisors group?
Actually, no, I haven't. Ooh, can you take that down?
Good idea.
Is that, do they have an association?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. And actually, they're the ones that seem the most excited about this program.
Yeah, I would think they tend not to do special ed, but a lot of them will do summer programs, and a lot of them will do 504s, which is not special ed per se, but someone that's got a learning disability. So
Right.
they tend to get involved with this, and I would think for $500 a year, this is something they may be interested in.
Ah, very good, thank you. Actually, we typically would go to the principal and to the teachers and the literacy teacher. And for example, Enfield, it took us like a year between, making presentations to the superintendent's office. I mean, it's a process to get in. The one thing that was surprising at the very first study that we did, though, and we also had a focus group, they came back and said the big unexpected benefit was that the kids' behavior improved so much in the classroom. The kids were not constantly asking to leave the room. They were paying attention, and they really focused on the reading, and also really improved their capability as far as comprehension, being able to answer the questions about what they had just read. So this is our Spanish language. We're right now in 14 group homes that are have Spanish-speaking residents with special needs, and of course we're also streaming it to hospitals as well. This is a very cool project. Lizette, do we know anything about this project? Just a little. Lizette is great. So CRIS Radio partnered with Connecticut State Library and Lizette. We did this project for, we were able to collect, or they collected historic documents and archives from World War I, and it was coming up on the centennial, and you were already doing a big project in World War I as it was. And so we thought, well, why don't we record some of these documents? Because back in the day, we had a volunteer who was completely blind. He came in twice a week to produce the morning news show, and he really was a historian. He loved history, but he could not access most of the documents or things that were available. And also there is text-to-speech, but it just does not work well with historic handwritten documents. So I kept thinking about that fella, and he has since passed, but we ended up recording 179 historical documents. 4 of them were the diaries that were very extensive. And we also did groups of letters, family letters, which we counted as 1. But the 179 documents, well, anyways, within 2 years, we had 17,500 downloads of these. Wow. And I do think there has to be some national exposure with the Centennial Commission or something.
Part of that, but the other part is that we know that the social studies part of the Department of Education has found out about this.
Oh.
And so a lot of the teachers, even if the kids don't have a reading disability, have incorporated it into their curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
And so the kids can hear what they're learning about, and it makes it just much more interesting for them. So there's, they'll pick key documents.
Yeah.
So.
And primary source documents, that's the big push has been for kids to look at the original documents, not read it in a history book.
It's part of Common Core.
Oh, is that? Oh, yeah. Very good. So this has been a great project. So Lizette and I have been talking for several months about, gee, what can we do now, right? And what's coming up next year is the centennial of the women's suffrage movement. So today we're actually submitting a grant application, a draft grant application to the National Archives. This was funded, by the way, by the National Archives. And that's a very competitive grant to get. I was pretty surprised, but they were very pleased with us, so I'm hoping they're going to fund this next project as well. So that's the next thing that's going to be coming is Voices of Women. Anyway, so this is the senior centers. We're right now in, we have installed our internet radios. An internet radio, by the way, it really is just like, there's one right there in the corner.
Right there in the back.
Actually, I could even turn it on.
It is on. Just
should I turn on the
volume?
volume? Here. So basically, it's like a computer that has a URL. We are streaming to the internet. It's not a broadcast radio. And the quality, as you can see, is exceptional. We were not able to serve any of these assisted living facilities or senior centers because of their construction and sideband frequencies would not go in there. Now with these internet radios, we're now making it available to more and more. And then again, I was talking about what Lou's done with the facilities, 116 facilities and assisted living facilities. What's sort of shocking is all of a sudden, Lou will get a call and they'll say, it stopped working. Lou, they're coming down at 4 o'clock. We got to do something because it's their common room, and they're going to expect it, and they're not going to be happy if it's down. And there's a few little glitches with it. If there's a power outage, you have to go back in and find the URL again and reset it, things like that. So, but we've had a lot of luck with that, and it's been very well received. And it's the folks that really depend on it. They get desperate when it goes out. I mean, when we hear from some of these listeners, it's just like, it's not working. It's been off for like 20 minutes. It's a big deal because it's so isolating.
And we typically hear it. And we know about it here because I've got a radio in front of my desk.
So
it's always background noise. So when it goes on, I'm like, whoa, why is it out?
Yeah.
And, if it's out for more than 2 minutes, that phone starts ringing.
Yeah. So it seems like it is a simple service, but it makes such a big difference in the lives and the quality of life of other folks. Again, we have a number of volunteers, as you know, and our volunteers don't quit. So we are probably the only nonprofit that has a wait list of almost 150 volunteers. Wow. We do, because everybody that wants to volunteer for us, pretty much most of them, they want to get behind the mic. They don't want to, transcribe stuff or, although we do have very devoted people that
They ship radio.
They ship the radios for us. So, we do have a very dedicated group. But I will tell you that without that volunteer talent, this organization would easily cost us at least $1 million a year. And it's like, Keith, you deliver your radios personally, don't you? I don't know how you do it, because
we're starting to get away from that a little bit, but yeah.
Do you ship, but you never ship them out?
We start to now, yeah.
Oh yeah, you got it. Yeah. It's, it's a vocation of devotion, I would say. This is really, I'm going to play this for you. So a few years ago, and if I've already played it for you, I ask for your forgiveness, it's only about 2 minutes, or maybe it's under a minute. So we were going out talking about CRIS Kids. And so the first thing we say is, well, anybody here ever hear about CRIS Radio? And this lady in the back of the room, a teacher, raised her hand and she said, yes, CRIS Radio saved my father's life. So about a few months later, Hartford Foundation was doing a program in collaboration with NPR to get, they were getting, what was it, voices, gifts to give by, voices to give by, or something like that. And so they actually asked her to come in. She recorded it here, but they started broadcasting her story about CRIS Radio. So I'm going to just play it for you. Let's see.
Ronnie Zobak of Collins, whose father's life was changed by the Connecticut Radio Information System, or CRIS.
My dad, in around 1986, got a diagnosis of mental degeneration, which means a progressive loss of vision. He progressively, yes, lost his vision, but also his self-esteem, and became more and more sad, felt cut off from the world. So he went from a very independent, very vital, vibrant person to somebody who basically sat. By luck and by chance, I think we discovered CRIS, and it was within days we received a CRIS Radio. It was crackly, and so reception wasn't the best until we traced it, and then it became wonderful because we found the New York Times. We found somebody reading the New York Times, and I mean, I can picture him sitting here right now. I can picture him on the couch with the radio right next to him, and one of the first smiles I'd seen on his face in probably years in regard to himself. He wasn't happy about himself until he was able to listen to this stuff and then converse. Suddenly he was back in the mix of things. I don't think they even understand how wonderful this thing, CRIS, is. But I didn't care. They were angels to me, and I thought, yeah, you know, have a New York accent, and I fall back into it a lot, but one day someone wouldn't mind listening to me read the New York Times to them.
Words to Get By from E321.
That's what it was, Words to Get By. But I got to tell you, too, every time I hear that, it's like, oh, you know, it makes it all worthwhile, what we do. Another new thing that is really growing in popularity, and we're asking folks that if they start listening to CRIS Radio on their hands-free Alexa, it's awesome. More and more people are doing it. We're asking them to write it in on their application because we get funding based on how many people we serve, obviously. We're adding, right now we're on Windsor on TuneIn, and that's all they say is play CRIS Radio / Windsor on TuneIn, and it plays it right away. We're adding the other studios on this as well. So, but this has become very popular. Would you say we even receive letters from people?
Oh, absolutely. But the like you would expect when one of the application has birthdays, and you can definitely see that birthdays, from the 50s to present day, are just right. They're already there. They just want this type of technology to access. So it has to be done. We have to do this.
Yeah, good. So we don't provide it for them. We don't pay for the device, but we do ask them to monitor it. Register it to us. So we do have fundraisers. We have Dining and Dancing in the Dark. We have a golf event that is coming up in October, and this is the percentage. Charlie, this was your question. So where are we for Lions Club? 8%. That was last year because we haven't had our audit yet. So the Lions Club contributed 8% of our total budget, and that was more than what the state did, which was 4%. So, but you can see next year this is going to look very different because our donations have decreased as well. But so far, nothing but we're hoping that the state has upped us a little bit, so unless they change their mind, which they can do during the year, that is where we are. A big chunk, obviously, they're grants. So we spend a lot of time writing grants and filling grants and things like that. So that's about it. And we're hoping our earned revenue starts really going up. All right. Any questions?
Good job.
Good, yay. And under an hour, I want to say.
Yes, I just 45 minutes.
45 minutes, there you go. So again, I want to say thank you so much for coming today. Just wondering if you have any questions for Lou or for me, or?
I have 3 thoughts.
Oh, okay.
If I can remember all 3.
Okay.
But I was struck by the fact that as we were going through this, on the hospital piece, for example,
Yes.
we have affiliations in 23B, and I'm sure I know at least 23A, one of the other districts, with hospitals. It would be easy for us to approach them.
Oh,
For example, in our case, it's Charlotte Hungerford and Torrington, it's Bristol Hospital in Bristol.
okay.
And give you an entree, if we can, through our connections,
Absolutely.
to get in the door to talk about the streaming
Sure.
services.
Sure.
The second thought I had, which is connected again with low vision, because these hospitals work with us with our low vision centers, is somehow to introduce this through our low vision,
Okay.
our therapists, et cetera, because they work with clients. They're all occupational therapists with advanced training in low vision therapies. And that's their goal. Their goal is to help make people independent. So like
Right.
Ronnie's dad, that's what our goal is.
Right.
Is to have these people not be isolated because they have significant vision. They're not blind
Right.
in most cases, but they have significant vision
Yeah, they
issues.
can't read or write. Yeah. So actually, Charlie did try to hook us up with somebody at Wyndham Hospital,
yeah.
and I did reach out, and I think I followed up one other time. And I will tell you, like with St. Francis, how long did it take us to get St. Francis? 3 years.
Oh, it's over 2 years, yeah.
Yeah. It takes time because then the IT department gets involved. Then they say, well, how are we going to do this? And for now, with Stanford, it's been over a year. And that was them saying yes, like quickly. And it's still taking a year, and we're still signing papers and going over the texts and stuff like that. But it's perfect because eventually, if you persist, you get in. So I really welcome that. That would be-
In today's environment too, with the consolidation of all the hospitals, it's like
Yeah.
Charlotte Hungerford we were talking about as part of Hartford Healthcare. So it's like we
Oh.
could reach out to Hartford Healthcare.
Yes.
That might take care of Hartford Hospital, Charlotte, and whoever else is in
That's
that
sort of what
network
we
of
were hoping
hospitals.
with. So that's why with St. Francis, they're Trinity, New England. That's how Mount Sinai got involved. And then they wanted us to do Johnson Memorial, but we have not been able to. The top guys can say yes, but now you have to get all the other guys to come on board.
Correct.
And everybody seems swamped and busy.
Sure.
That's sort of, it's not that they don't want to do it, it's just that, okay, it's one more thing on my plate that I have to do. But we know how to persist.
Well, my third thought before I forget it,
Yes.
being old, it goes in and out right away. And the reason I timed you, it may be my ignorance, but the Lions have a midwinter state convention.
Yeah.
And have you been there to make this kind of a presentation?
I have. I've made one presentation. I've tried to get. We've done the tables every year since I've been here.
Yeah.
But we've only been. We've tried to get in to do the presentations, and I was only invited once. And I did it with Eileen Akers. We co-presented one year.
A couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Because I think Lions need to hear
Yeah.
the new model of business around here.
Sure.
In terms of what you're doing, because I still think a lot of them think, okay, it's somebody with a radio at their house.
Right.
And
Right.
someone's reading the local newspaper, whatever. I don't know that many Lions, unless it's been like us who've been involved in different aspects of this,
Yeah.
know about all of the other services that you provide.
Yeah.
And they need to hear about it.
Yeah, and that's why we wanted to invite you here, because even though, we send out the flyers, we are doing so much more. We are serving so many more people through, and these are all people that don't have access to the printed material. So from kids to hospital patients, there's a lot going on. And then also in the community, speaking of a grandmother of a child with severe special needs, I realize there's so many places that are just not accessible for her. And so as a family, whatever we do, it has to be accessible. Providing these audible exhibits for people, it's really sort of life-changing in terms of quality of life issues by adding more access.
Well, one thing that we just acquired as a multiple district, and I mean just because I just signed myself up today as administrator, is webinar software.
Oh.
So we could think about doing a CRIS Radio Lions webinar.
Yes.
Which would then be able to reach anybody, you know. Who,
that's great.
So you could do the same type of PowerPoint presentation with you being the moderator type of thing.
What a great idea. Perfect.
But we're not there yet. We need.
Well, that's okay.
We need training.
That's okay.
Especially the administrator.
Yes, please.
Well, you're talking about the need for transcribers.
Right.
So if we get the historic project off the ground, maybe we can pair up with Leo's and work through the teachers who need to do stuff with Common Core and original
Good idea.
What a great
documents that the kids could learn how to transcribe handwritten materials.
So listen, Scott said that he would give a tour for people, and also if anybody wants to record a PSA, he has a script, so you can get behind the mic and say, he wrote it out about, about the, he showed it to me, it's lovely. We bring you the words, thanks to CRIS Radio and the partnership with the Lions Club, something like that. So I'm going to bring him in, and if anybody wants to go on a tour with Scott.
Hello again, everyone. Here we are at CRIS Radio. It's been a very exciting and informative afternoon.
That was very informative, and we hope that the Lions of District 23B will contribute even more this year. And actually, I should say the Lions of Connecticut, multiple District 23, to support such a worthy cause. CRIS Radio is great, isn't it, Carol?
It is.
Well, thanks to Diane again for inviting us today, and Lou Mirando from the Windsor Lions Club.
Yes.
That'll do it for this episode of Lion Around Connecticut with Carol and Harry. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed our show this evening. Tune in next week for another Lion Around Connecticut with Carol and Harry. Good night.
Bye-bye.